to our chief guest. We have with us another very special person today as chief guest. She is an academic entrepreneurial research management leader with extensive experience of working in innovation, enterprise, economic development, and partnership within life sciences, health and technology in academia, industry, and business sectors globally. Board member of the Scottish Enterprise with Scottish Development International and Scottish Investment Bank with responsibility for £540 million annual budget and skills development Scotland. Dr. Malik is focused on stimulating economic and inclusive growth with business and universities link-ups. She is an active member of Investing Women Angels, Scotland's only all-women angel investor group supporting female entrepreneurs. For delivering global impact, Dr. Malik was chosen among the top 100 alumni from 17,000 alumni in University of Edinburgh's Business School's 100-year operating history. A finalist in Scottish Women's Awards 2019 for Social Leader of the Year Award and Scottish Women's Awards 2018 finalist for Services to Education Leadership Award, Dr. Malik has held positions in the universities of Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Cumbria, Lancaster. Dr. Malik brings expertise in the life sciences, infectious diseases, global health and technology. Her interests are strategy, leadership, innovation, entrepreneurship, gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. She is the fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh and has recently joined as the head of investment at University of Strathclyde. GCPIT is proud to have her as a chief guest for today. Let me invite Dr. Poonam Malik for her address. Over to you, Dr. Poonam.
Thank you, Aparna. Next time you can just introduce me with my name, and we'll say 5 minutes. Thank you.
No, you are the chief guest. I have to introduce. Sorry, I had to cut short a lot, but at least this much I have to say. Over to you.
Namaskar. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Very warm welcome to you all from wherever you are joining us. Thank you, GCPIT Global Leadership, Santosh, Aparna, Mishma, for the warm invite to join you all to share my thoughts on this Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021. Last 18 months have been incredibly hard and challenging for all of us. And I applaud you all for the incredible resilience, all of you who are here, and all at the GCPIT or CIMSME, for the dedication that you have shown for the society, for the people, for those around you, and for leadership as part of that from Santosh. Your work ethic has been inspirational among the most trying times for those who need it most. I understand that at GCPIT, you're all incredibly passionate about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And you have had wonderful speaker series in there. And today also we heard from Salil and Upala. UN SDGs are a shared vision and partnership between world's nations, and it's the primary theme of this Global Sustainable Development Summit. As Apala was explaining here, that SDGs are a way to achieve parity, more parity in the world and development of people. As SME leaders, enablers, influencers, and supporters, you are all in a unique position to transform with your work the positive changes that will bring us closer to achieving those SDGs. Meeting the Sustainable Development Goals require interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary collaboration across several disciplines, several organizations, and several actors that play a role in the ecosystem. Your partnerships and multi-organization collaborations linked to one or more of the Sustainable Development Goals actually have the ability to generate that real-world impact that we hope for, that we aspire to, helping to meet those ambitious global aims by the year 2030. So GCPIT Global is addressing this through the Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021, focusing on SDGs, which the United Nations have set to pursue justice, peace, good health, responsible use of resources, and the eradication of hunger and poverty. For the purposes of today, I'm going to remain focused on the broader theme of inequality. And as Apala was explaining very nicely and elaborately with examples, SDG10 addresses reducing inequality and how can we reduce inequalities within and among countries. I will keep my focus and theme broader on that. And just say much can be said on a number of SDGs that fit within this theme, because inequality can be handled and tackled in multi ways. The SDGs, which are formulated in 2015, are a global blueprint for ending poverty and protecting the planet and ensuring that all of us and our future generations enjoy good health, peace, and prosperity by 2030. Also, with the climate change current theme, and especially with the United Nations COP26 conference in Glasgow in Scotland, when world's eyes are focused here, I ought to say that we need to be good ancestors. We need to give this planet an equal, greener, happier, healthier planet to our future generations. So they consider us good ancestors and not the bad people which landed them into soup. Reducing inequalities and ensuring no one is left behind are integral to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 10. And there are multiple different types of inequalities in this world, as Apala was just saying. I'm sure Salil said it before that. And inequalities can be based on income, gender, age, sexual orientation, ethnic origin, disability, religious beliefs, classes, and access to opportunities. And we see multiple of those examples around us. We don't need to go very far. We can look within families around us in the region next to us in the society, and then there are global level between the countries. We are not all given the same opportunities. Some of us have, starting with the very beginning, even before we are born, we have won the embryonic lottery with the key to the golden door of a prosperous, successful life, while some others, even at that age of embryonic lottery, when they are still young in their mum, due to no fault of their own, have been lost in this embryonic lottery race because they happen to be born in poor families, to poor societies, or even poorer countries. So these are all prejudices. And still today, these all continue to persist across the world. And then comes the question, why should we care about inequalities if we are okay? Why should even I bother about the next thing? It is because inequalities weaken growth. They encourage poverty and they reduce fulfillment and self esteem of people. Inequality also encourages illness and our environment's deterioration. And because, because of inequalities, we cannot attain sustainable development of everyone together if we exclude any part of our population. That is why when we say together we are stronger, together we are better. Apala gave some lovely examples and facts there. Just to point out some facts which are about income equalities on today, Friday, 1st of October 2021. Bottom line is, it may be hard to hear, but we do live in a very unfair world. Do you know that the richest 1% of the world have more wealth than the rest of the population of the world? 1% own more money and wealth than 6.9 billion people left behind. Richest 10% population in the world possesses almost half of world's total income. Imagine if it was distributed equally, what would we achieve and what would the world look like? And here it is, 22 richest men own more wealth than all the women in Africa combined. Now take a time to think over that. OECD's In It Together report highlights that the gap keeps widening despite us saying and talking about it. The growth has disproportionately benefited higher income groups, while lower income households have been left behind. Lower income people have been prevented from realizing their full human capital potential. And that's bad for the economy as a whole because we are not utilizing the full potential of our population. So, inequality within and among countries is another persistent cause for concern. Nations with stronger economy, like USA, UK, and Germany, have stronger voices on the world stage and considered more powerful because they have trade links with other richer countries and they have influential groups like NATO and G7. And in this inequality, unfortunately, has existed for centuries. Great nations have been built on the foundation of slavery. And despite some positive signs towards reducing inequality in some direction, Some inequalities still exist. Another form of inequality, which is personally very close to me and we are here, is simply because of being born in a different gender. We didn't ask, and our parents hopefully didn't choose what gender we are born in. But this can have a dramatic impact on societies. Even today in 21st century, in most part, women get paid lower salaries while also bearing the burden of childcare and unpaid home and care work. Oxfam report for 2020 for World Economic Forum in Davos said, women and girls contribute 8.28 trillion pounds, that is $10.8 billion to the global economy, worth a total of 12.5 billion hours of unpaid care work per day. This figure is not like a month or a year, it's a per day, which is 3 times the worth of world's global tech industry. Now, I'm not an advocate when we say we should start paying for homework, unpaid care work, but it is the question of recognition of that fact that what we are contributing, if it's not going directly into the GDP, that doesn't mean that that work is not valuable. The other inequality can be a racial issue, where people from ethnic minorities can be unfairly targeted by police just because of the color of their skin. A recent case in America of George Floyd, all of us would have been familiar with that, which started Black Lives Matter movement. Similarly, color of race and ethnicity can matter in different parts of the world. And past 18 months of COVID-19 pandemic has deepened these inequalities. Marginalized societies have suffered more. People who are at the forefront of society can access better healthcare, better systems, whereas those who are further away have gone deeper into poverty, into ill health. And the question is that SDGs can sometimes be mistaken as pertaining to developing countries and challenging of it. These are challenges of emerging and less developed countries. But actually, that's not the case. It is relative. It depends, even within a country like UK and Scotland, inequalities exist either of a regional nature or access to, Zapala was talking about the digital change. If now we are sitting and talking through the internet link, people who don't have access to it, more or less there is a nowadays sort of discussion starting of having internet as a human right, because if that is not there, you are disconnected from the world. You cannot go out and approach and attain your full potential. Even in India, children's education is dependent on having access to data via digital. So if we don't have a good broadband or a digital society, that's an inequality which is adding to the burden and pressure of how our future generations are being educated. So nonetheless, we now need to move forward from using the SDGs just for closing the inequality gap in India or UK to actually addressing and building resilience across all aspects of society, all aspects of societal well-being and planetary health, so that we are resilient, we foresee, we plan for what changes can happen. As part of the ongoing consultation of building national resilient societies, governments across the world are thinking, how can we ensure that we identify and consider as wide range of risk as possible? Nobody could have predicted COVID, but that exposed a lot on different fronts when people and countries were not prepared. As OECD General Secretary said in 2015, inequality can no longer be treated as an afterthought. We need to focus on the debate on how the benefit of growth are distributed equally. So rising inequality is not a natural or an inevitable condition. It is, in fact, a product of our policies, our laws, institutions that are within the society or countries, social cultural norms and practices which give rise to gender and racial and cultural differences, governance deficiencies where certain rich organizations get the maximum proportion benefits and there is a 200 times difference between a CEO and a front worker salary, or unequal wealth and power distribution which gives rise to inequalities. So there is a role for different players and actors in the ecosystem to play. Governments need to set the policies to enable equalities. Agencies and the organizations need to bring their power into enacting, adopting, and implementing it. And citizens need to be aware and providing access so that they can realize their full potential. So, by changing policies, laws, and norms that enable unequal distribution of wealth, we can address vulnerable people's needs and also their inclusion. Addressing inequality does not mean treating everyone the same. So that's another point that we need to realize, that we cannot ask for the same things everywhere in the same time, because everyone's situation, everyone's needs are not the same. As old saying goes, horses for courses. So basically designing special and differential programs based on different needs for different regions, different people, is actually going to be more solution providing rather than applying the same solution to everybody. Providing access to quality education, which is a personal passion, another of mine, is that a quality education is key to bringing change and life out of a poverty for all marginalized society. When we say you educate one woman, you educate an entire family, because that is the bottom line of it. And she makes sure, an educated mother makes sure the future generation understands the value and learns better and makes good family governance decision. So making sure to not sacrificing people for profit with policies like fair trade certification, which will be very, very important for organizations like SME and MSMEs. In terms of equal distribution, shifting focus from shareholder, which is what the corporate world lives on, to stakeholder approach, community wealth building, where we think about shareholders, how collaboration, participation, and engagement and thoughts matter. Building community wealth with positive, responsible, impact led, and ESG led, which is environmental, social, and governance led investment into diverse ethnic minority and women founder businesses are few of the initiatives to turn the tide of the equality. Because the other fact is that women that start the business get less than 2% of venture capital. As a result, women businesses don't scale, and we see all the major corporations which are men led. So, what we need to do is responsible ESG driven investment, providing to those women led founders which have creative ideas, but they just don't see the light of the day for tomorrow. So, with the world now trying to emerge from the worst of pandemic, we should be guided by the SDGs to break these cycles of inequality, adopt new technologies, and implement progress social environmental policy. So, as a bottom line action, some practical steps which I have asked from each of you that you can take to reduce and tackle inequality at individual, personal, organizational, and national levels. COVID has shown us that more than ever in today's world, we are more interconnected. For example, this conference, you're sitting in different parts of the world, but we are all connected. We are interconnected. Our health is interconnected. What happens in China, what happens in Australia, happens in India, and happens in UK. It travels very fast. What affects one of us affects soon. So no one is safe until all of us are safe. So we cannot hoard medicines and vaccines just for ourselves. We need to think about other people. We need to think about who doesn't have access to it, so that infection doesn't differentiate between, and virus doesn't need passport for the borders. So if we need to expect to open our borders, we need to separate. We need to give out medicines and vaccines to all. So to promote as at individual levels, at organizational level, we need to promote the elimination of salary gaps, gender pay gap that exists between women and men. And this is the ask that each person can take. We need to be transparent, authentic, and open about what it is, rather than people getting this for different salaries for same workload. One of the biggest signs of inequality in developed global north countries. We need to give support to multicultural education. As I said, education is a key factor that develops. If we enhance education, people become more aware, and they raise voices when they see inequality, when they say injustice. With awareness about history of the world, people become more tolerant. We can even tackle racial injustice. Support education of children where possible, because the future generations, if they are aware, if they are enlightened, they will build a better world. And personal and professional level, please do protest inequality in any form where you spot them. If you see a colleague unfairly being treated or sidelined just because of any reason, because of their race, because of their culture, because of their poverty, wherever they come from, if that happens, make sure you stand up, you raise voice. And I'm not saying that everybody go out and protest and march, but there are ways to do it in a polite way to make a more equal society. And the global communities have a part to play. So we must turn this economic and inequality emergency into an opportunity. I would say finally, hope stabilizes while fear paralyzes. So let's sell hope, let's be together, tackle inequality, celebrate diversity, be fair and inclusive, because that's a collective responsibility. It's a behavioral change that we all need to take part of it. And Mahatma Gandhi said, my favorite quote, be the change that you wish to see in the world. So my plea to you all is be good global citizens, take your part, and I'm definitely sure we can all do it together, but we need to take that first step of realization and awareness. So what are we waiting for? Let's get on with it. And I'm sure you can all do it together. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Poonam, for that very powerful session. It's always an honor to have you in our sessions, and we are happy to have you as part of GCPIT family. And as you said, we have to be good ancestors, and we have to give the planet back to our future generations in good condition. And that's why GCPIT has now taken on this mission. Thank you for so much for joining us and inspiring us. And thank you for this, all the support you have been giving to GCPIT.
Pleasure.
With this, we have